Welcome to level 19, and this is a weird one. You're almost there, y'all. This one, actually, I'm not going to even teach you any more solving equation skills. You have all the skills you need to be distinguished as an 8th grader. We're going to look at some weird things that can happen when you do today. So make this the title of the next page in your math notebook, and when you have done so, unpause and be real ready. This is going to be weird situations, and I need you to really hone in on them to take it in. So not weird. We've done a million equations like this in the last little bit. And every time we've done this, there's always been a solution, right? And there's always been one solution. There's been one value of x that will make this true. So for instance, on this one, if I do it real fast, subtract 2, 3x equals 9, divide by 3, we get x equals 3. So that's it. That's the one possible value of x that if I substitute it into this equation, makes this true. If I check that, 3 times 3 plus 2 does equal 11. Check smiley face, yay. If I do any other number, if I put anything else in for x, this won't be true. If instead of 3, I try, well, what if I try 5? 3 times 5 plus 2 does not equal 11. They're not equal on both sides. X, frowny face, boo. Right? That's it. There's been one solution every single time, and that's what's going to get weird today. So let's look at weird situation number 1. So I've got an equation here, and let me start to solve it for you. So it looks kind of standard, like something you would have learned in level 17 or 18. Let's just start putting it together. Negative 2x plus 5 minus x, or plus another opposite of x, equals negative 3x and 8. So if I were to start solving this, probably the first thing I would do is say I only want variables on one side. So what if I take 3 opposite of x's off each side? Uh-oh. If I do that, all the variables go away on both sides, and I'm left with 5 here and 8 here. What? How do I figure out what x is from that? Let me show you with the inverse operation strategy as well. Same kind of thing is going to happen. Then we'll discuss what to do about it. So if I were to very quickly start to solve this, I would start by not subtracting. And I would combine like terms on this side. So I'd get negative 3x plus 5 equals negative 3x plus 8. And I guess my first instinct when I have variables on both sides would be to say, let's get rid of these x's. But when I do, I also get rid of these with the same move, and I'm left with 5 equals 8, just like I was over here. 5 does not equal 8. That is impossible. And if you get something impossible in your equation, that actually means it doesn't have a solution. There is no solution to this equation. There is no value of x that makes this true. You could guess and check, you could common sense, you could inverse operation, you could draw. No number that you could possibly put into this equation will possibly make it true, and this is how you know. When you get something that can't be true, it has no solution. Let me show you another weird situation. Let's look at this one. Similar problem, but I changed it just a little bit. Let's start here. So negative 2x plus 5 plus another negative x equals negative 3x. This looks a lot like the last one. There's going to be some different. Plus 8. Take away 3. Now look what happens. I actually have exactly the same thing on both sides. I have 3 opposite of x's, and I have a 5 on both sides. Both sides are already exactly the same. That means if I start to solve it, If I take the 5's away, I have exactly the same thing on both sides. I have just the 3 opposite of x's. That's true no matter what you made x. If you made opposite of x be 1, that's true. If you made opposite of x be 6, that's true. It doesn't matter. This is true no matter what. That's also weird. And if I go back, and what if instead of taking the 5's away, sorry, I don't know how quickly I can go back here for you, rewind. What if instead of taking the 5's away, I take the x's away, or the variables away rather, opposite of x's? If I do that, I get 5 is equal to 5. Well, that's always, just like with the x's, that's always true. I don't have to even find anything for x for that to be true. Same thing over here. What if I inverse operation it? All right, real quick. I know I'm not focusing on the skill here. I'm just trying to teach you the new thing. Combine like terms. Combine like terms. And same thing's going to happen no matter what I do. Like this is true no matter what already. It's the same thing on both sides. If I add 3x, instead of getting something never true like the last one, I get something that's always true. Or if instead of dealing with the x's, I dealt with the 5's, same deal. I get negative 3x is equal to negative 3x. That's always true. So if that happens, instead of there being no solution, everything is a solution. No matter what you make x be, this will be true. So in math, you know, that the common sense way to think about it is everything's a solution. Like if I put in, 4, this is true. If I put in 10, this is true. If I put in negative 13.5, this is true. No matter what number you make x be, this equation is always true. Everything's solution. In math, we say it has infinitely many solutions. Every possible thing is a solution. So that's our 2 weird situations. Let me give you an example of each to write down. So let's start with one. I want you to put this in the title before you pause. Let's start with weird situation number 1, which is no possible solution. So go ahead and even include this in your explanation of this. Go ahead and pause and unpause when you're ready to write this down. So this is going to be one that ends up with no possible solution. If I start to draw it, we have x and negative 6 4 times. Over here we have, 1x plus a 2, not 2 more x, plus 3x. Okay. And yeah, got it. So like what my first instinct would probably be to do here is to take the variables off both sides, but there's the same number of variables on both sides. And if I do that, I get stuck with negative 24 here and 2 here. That can't be true. It's not possible. And if you end up with something that can't be true, that's an indication that there's no solution. There is no possible value of x that will possibly make this true. Nothing. And if you try the inverse operation strategy, you run into the same thing. 4 times x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2 plus 3x. If I do a few steps all at once here, I get 4x plus negative 24 is equal to 4x plus 2. This already seems weird, right? I've got something that if I multiply it by 4 and add negative 24, I get the same thing as if I multiply by 4 and only add 2. Not going to work. So my instinct would be to take 4x away from both sides, and I get negative 24 is equal to 2. No, it's not. This is not possible. Doesn't make any sense, so there's no solution. So that's weird situation number one. You may run into equations where when you end up with something crazy that doesn't make any sense mathematically, and that means there's no solution. The other weird situation, when you're ready, is instead of there being no solution, there's situations where everything is a solution. Or as a fancy math person would say, there are infinitely a many, and they would say it in that snobby accent, of solutions. So this is going to be one of those where when we solve this, actually everything's going to be a solution. Doesn't matter what x is, it's always true. That's another way to put this. Always true. So if I start to draw this one, you'll see it start to occur real quick. 4x and negative, and then 4 negative 6s. Is equal to x, negative 24, and 3 more x's. And same thing, I guess my instinct off the bat would probably be to take the x's away. And when I do, I'm left with negative 24 here and negative 24 here. Or if you took the x's away, you might possibly just be left with 4 x's over here and 4 x's over here. Either way, depending on what you take, you get something that's always true, no matter what. Anything is a solution. So that's just a weird thing that can happen, number two. If you do the inverse operation strategy, you'll end up with the same thing. You'll do all your work, and you'll either end up with 4x is equal to 4x, of course it is, or negative 24 is equal to negative 24, of course it is. No matter what you do, you get something always true, and this tells you that anything is a solution. So y'all, those are the two weird situations you can run into now that you have all the skills to solve all the equations, is you may run into situations where everything's a solution, or you may run into situations where nothing's a solution. I want you to not only know them, but know the difference in what can happen to let you know. I hope this made sense. If it did not, or if you think you need another look because you were writing and listening at the same time and not paying attention, or somehow it didn't sink in, please give this another watch. When you do think you've got the hang of it, your you do together is on the next slide, and I'll see you on the next one. The last one is next.